That's why I blow dried my hair, so I came prepared.
Good. Okay, so the goal is to create a knowledge product as Yumiko is leaving, and I think it is a good time to take stock of what UNDAP has been achieved and what other lessons learned. And instead of writing up, it's more like a tacit knowledge product, which meaning to capture your experiences and your insights and something I suggested this to Yumiko because for this group, like atmosphere is so great. I mean, guys have chat and ha ha ha, and I think this is the essence of interagency coordination. And that's why I suggested to bring everybody into one focus group discussions and just record the whole session. And I will cut in bits and pieces so that everything will, it won't be a short, but also if, with your permission, I will post this whole dialogue so that anyone wants to know more in depth about the experiences and lesson learned, they have access to everything. So no off the record, but also I want to challenge you to say, as candid as possible, because I think that's what the people want to know. How so you did it? How many times did you go out to eat together? How did you solve the always some issues in the group, and how did you overcome? So those things, like in more like soft side as well as more institutional and work side, I want to capture them in this video. Anything else before I start? Is it clear? Good. Okay, so first question is
just give a second. Esther is on.
Oh, Esther
is joined.
Yes.
Esther, could you turn on the video? We recording it. Yes. Hi.
Hi. Great. And Esther, if you want to speak, when you speak, you can turn the camera on. You no pressure if you're driving. You don't have to show your face all the time. But when you speak, I want to capture the conversations as well. Okay. All right. So first question is, how did UNDAP start? And how did it begin? I think it goes to more old timers, I guess.
Yeah. Let me start, if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
I'm probably one of the oldest here as far as involvement with UNEDA. So let me recall what really happened there. Well, the first UNEDA training happened in 2009. Yeah, that's what we have on record. In fact, we still have the files from that training, but actually the inception happened 3 years before that. So there was, in fact, a long time period for conceptualization, getting people's buy-in, and eventually going into action. So in 2006, that is about 3 years before. You may recall that there were two important drivers, I should say, that leads to the idea of setting up a network. One is the establishment of the regional coordination mechanism mandated by ECOSOC, calling all UN entities to improve coordination and cooperation. And of course, this has continued until now. I mean, the mandate, the call remains as strong as before. But at that time, it was something really strong. And ESCAP was as the convener of the RTM in Asia and the Pacific, has played an important role in setting up the agendas of these meetings and also proposing priorities for collaboration. So that's one driver. Second is the same year in 2006, there was also the high-level panel on system-wide coherence, also called for UN entities to, including the regional level, to collaborate and cooperate. So there were very strong, really call from the global level to do that. So given that as a backdrop, UNEDAP came actually from was this proposal coming from the director of UNICEF. It's probably because the evaluation officer at the time, you probably remember Ada Ocampo-Po. You remember Ada, of course. Who else were Yumiko? You remember Ada, who is now in New York. I think she was really the one pushing the idea and brought the idea to this her director, and then the director raised it at the RCM meeting in 2006. So from that meeting, I mean, the ball started to roll, right? It took 3 years, 2006 until 2009. There was, in fact, a working group that was set up. There were 9 agencies, having a meeting, discuss about the TOR. And then at that time, they came up with a very ambitious TOR of what this network should do. But there are 2 broad sort of area or function. One is, of course, the building of UN system evaluation capacity, which we are doing now. And the other area at that time, they thought that it should also build national evaluation capacity. So these are the 2 broad areas of function. And then the knowledge sharing of information, good practices, lesson learned is there. Promoting collaboration on planning and conducting joint evaluation. The idea of having joint evaluation was also there, but it didn't really take off. And then there are many other activities that was planned. But in the end, it became ambitious, the TOR, but they decided, okay, let's proceed. So they decided on the first training in 2009. So it was actually facilitated by UNICEF, UNDP, and ESCAP. It was a 5-day course, and it was a big success as far as the record shows. I don't know, Sabrina, whether you were there. From ESCAP side, I think it was Ricky who take the lead, and you can probably share, Sabrina, what happened in that meeting. And then they realized that indeed this is a flagship activity, and this has continued for many years now. So I'll stop there, and I'll allow other colleagues to also recall, the historical aspect of UNEDA.
Keski, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Other old timers, how Edgar mentioned a little bit about high level partnerships, some urgencies from the high level, but also there must be some strong reason to start this, like some urgency or worth the effort, because that's ambitious, it takes a lot of time and effort. How it started? What was the worst effort?
Actually, I was also part of the very, very beginning. But because I am from the specialized agencies and I wasn't really quite aware of many things, I think Edgar was right that I think UNICEF probably, the regional advisor then probably talked with some colleague. I think the one who invited me to join was Us, who was earlier in ESCAP, maybe.
Yeah.
Sabrina was still like intern at the time. I can't remember exactly. Sabrina came once to Bangkok, and then we met Sabrina, but then I was also still quite new then. And Us introduced me to this group, but it was still very preliminary. They would discuss a lot on the TOR development. And yeah, for me, it was like a watch and see situation for me, because it's more like ExCom agencies doing this together. And I kind of am not sure what exactly I can contribute, because I also have big portfolio, but then trying to cooperate at the time and, chipped in to the extent possible. But earlier that the training was done by UNED. Someone came from Turin to train us in Bangkok. Even the director of UNICEF came into Bangkok, and before UNEDAP was doing all this training. It was the headquarters of UNICEF, UNDP. UNDP was quite strong then, to my knowledge. That was started off, and then it developed to become more regional one. That's what I can remember.
Thank you. Thank you. Very interesting to hear how actually the beginning of the UNEDAP, and eventually I'm visualizing myself some strong initiative and let's do this, waving flag. But somehow you have to create a common vision, where you want to go, why we're doing this, and some sort of coordination need to take place. How did you create the common vision or direction as a group? Where did it emerge?
Can I start? So
Yeah.
2009, I was a trainee. So I was participant. So I became chair in 2015. So I became so fast promoted from trainee to chair. And I remember, as Paul said, that in the beginning, 2009, a lot of people came from New York or headquarters organization. So the next step was we more regionalized it. It's around 2012, 2013. So that's all evaluation officers in the region manage it. And in 2015, I started to visit TAN, who's now in the FAO. We trying to create a FCD, that time UNDAP. So UNSCCF has a focus, common interest. So we discussed that with the aim for us to increase the coverage of UNSCCF in the region and quality of UNSCCF. So the training also created to focus more on UNSCCF evaluation. So that's became the common activities since 2015.
Yeah, I just add on the sort of history there. Yeah, Yumiko reminded me that I think, the genesis also was from this UN, UNEG had this with UN Staff College, the training available, right? And so in 2008, they did the training in Bangkok, and that's when the Ocampo had come, but she wasn't the UNICEF officer at the time, or the advisor. And then she came back, I think, the next year as advisor, and she brought the training with her. And so I think the fact that we had the training materials at our fingertips, it really helped to mobilize, the people and feel like they're not doing extra work. I think that that's kind of been one sort of important factor throughout. I mean, we all have our primary hats that we wear in our organizations, but we were able to come together around providing a training because that's something we all have to do, and this was a way to actually do it jointly and see, and we all saw the added benefit of doing it jointly, not just and having somebody else facilitate the session, but also and seeing the interactions between agencies and the learning, the different types of evaluations that are being completed and the different, experience brought from different countries. And so I think that was where, that kind of helped the momentum of the group really gaining traction. And then, I think a really important part of UNEDAP is this sort of, sense of ownership, and that everyone's really sort of shared responsibility. So, there's the co-chairs that we've had, but everyone has really had to take on responsibility with the training. So everyone's assigned a module and you have to, take that on. And then with as Yumiko was describing, with the integration of looking at how to support, the UNDAP evaluations and now UNSCCF evaluations, we've all now taken responsibility for being focal point, for example, but we all see it as a sort of collective group shared responsibility. And I think that is sort of the core of what makes UNEDAP work, is the sort of co-creation and shared responsibility. I was actually wondering if all of us have in our TORs or job descriptions, you know, that we need to participate in coordination activities, because I think that's a really important. I mean, I don't think it used to exist, and now probably all of us have that in our job descriptions, and that is, I think, a really big motivating factor for people as well, because you have, you know, you're assessed against whether you're actually doing that or not. So, you know, there is still the sort of perhaps stick end of it as well. But I just also wanted to add that I think as evaluators, you know, we're often sort of not the most popular people in the room. And so we've found a nice community of evaluators that we can, you know, share information, share techniques, methodologies, and learn from. And I think that's been really a great value add as well. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina. It's very insightful. Find your own network and make sure that it's in your performance review, like you get their supporters as well. Right. Any other thoughts on how did you create common vision directions?
Of course, we SDG 17 we had to believe, so that's when we give us the that direction.
Okay. It's more mandate, like official. Yeah. Why are we doing this?
I wasn't here during the beginning, but just a question to colleagues who were here. Did the year of the evaluation, the 2015 global year of the evaluation, did that help you in any way to solidify and come together and have a coherent vision? Question to colleagues who were there from a long time.
Kuros, is that 2015? Did you say?
Yeah. I think it was 2015, the year of the evaluation.
No, 2015. That was the time when UNEDA co-organized the annual UNEG evaluation conference.
Okay.
It was held in Bangkok, so all of us were there. We took part in terms of facilitating the the EP sessions, and of course the administrative arrangement. So that was a big milestone for UNEDAP as well in terms of collaboration with UNEG.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the UNEDAP have done capacity building and also UN-wide evaluation, UNETCF. What went well, in your opinion?
I can come in on this one.
Okay. I was going to point to you because that's where that's what went well. We got Sarawat.
No, you're being very kind, Sabrina. But in addition to that, I think what really worked is actually the work that already existed. Kesoki, for your information, I mean, UNEDAP was for the longest time the only network that supports country teams on the UNDAP evaluation. And UNEDAP really shaped the policy guidance on how the regional level coordination can come together to better support the countries on the evaluation. I mean, let's face it, the evaluations are, the CF evaluations are, it's an extremely labor intensive and a very technical exercise. It's not like the cooperation framework where you just do a TOC, you meet with partners and you put together a narrative. The evaluation is an extremely technical exercise to undertake. So I think because you've been set up for the longest time, you've built the grit and the patience to deal with the government, with the resident coordinator, with the RCOs, with the agencies that do not necessarily meet eye to eye. but I think the level of elegancy, grace, in communicating and engaging with a group of people that is not entirely convinced about evaluation, I think has been the key added value of UNEDAP. So that's why it was only natural for me to get a share of the success. So over from my side.
Can I come in here quickly? On evaluations and doing joint unit evaluation, I think I'm one of the last colleagues who have joined UNEDAP, but what I really liked was when we did the DPRK evaluation and joint UN evaluation, and we had to rethink of the whole process. How are we going to do this evaluation, and what are the innovative approaches we can use in a context that all UN agencies are out. So I think that was the collaboration that came through that with all colleagues involved and supporting. It was really, really good to be able to deliver an evaluation in a very difficult context like DPRK and the emergency and the COVID and all UN staff being expelled from the from the country and not let in. So it was that component of it to work together collaboratively, I think was fantastic.
Maybe I can come into the, oh, sorry, Angeline, you raised your hand. Please go ahead.
Thank you, colleagues. Of course, I think I'm the new kid on the block, not in terms of age, but I joined recently, and for me, I've seen, the immediate benefits in terms of what is working well. For the 1 year period that I've been around, one is the collegial relationship between colleagues. When I came in, of course, I haven't had like a long time, many years of experience in evaluation, but the fact that the colleagues work together and they recognize the capacity that you bring on board and are able to support and work together with you. And most importantly is, of course, the cross-pollination of ideas and ability to, apart from working together on common products, for instance, the training and UNSCCF evaluations, I also see how we are able to sort of pick the lessons from what other agencies are doing and be able to also apply in our own work. There's several lessons I'm able to, like a colleague said, we also wear our own hats and we are already carrying out similar work in our organizations. And I've on many occasions been able to improve and change the practices in evaluation planning, conduct, and even quality assurance. And it also has, I see like a benefit where we already, much as I think, I don't know whether it was Edgar who said, the aspect of joint evaluations didn't pick up quickly, but already right now I see I'm already involved in one joint evaluation. Of course, it's arising from a joint project, and we are working already together with the ILO and UN Women with Sabrina. So it sort of has become like, this is my place. Sometimes I even forget whether I work for UNEDAP or IOM. Become like, a place where you contribute, but you also pick from, benefit from, and apply in your organization and bring back what works well in your organization and apply it in UNEDAP. So it's quite a great and excellent way of working. And to me, it has really increased my confidence as an evaluator and as a trainer of people that are managing evaluation. Thank you, and over.
Thank you. think Oyuna raised hand first before the Esther.
Thank you, colleagues. Yeah, just wanted to see how I came to be a part of UNEDAP group, because I joined UNEDAP 2.5 years ago when I took my current role. And at the time, Sabrina was a co-chair, and she initiated a meeting with me to orient me what the UNEDAP was about. And it was really great to have that meeting to understand what this network was about, because I wasn't really very much familiar with support the UNEDAP provides to countries. So it was really great to have that initial orientation. And then soon we moved to the development of the 2021 module, where we had the external consultant also supporting us. And it was really great to see how agencies came together, contributing financially whenever it was possible, and then working together to develop that module together with the consultant. So it was really great to see that, because such collaboration is not always guaranteed, but it was really nicely done. And then when we moved to the online evaluation training module development, again, few of us came together to contribute to with the funding and also with time. And at the time, Yumiko and I were part of the initial coordination team, and it was really great to have the peers coming together again, coordinating. And then, of course, Pooh came later, and everybody else was also having the role to play. So it was a really great experience, and I feel like everybody's commitment and to really work together, that really makes it so distinguished from what I've seen in the past over 10 years that I worked in the UN. And also I feel like, as Angeline also spoke to, as a newcomer, it was really great to have this collaboration with all other colleagues, because in the process I learned a lot from all the colleagues who had great experience, and all our agencies also differ in terms of processes and how we do evaluation. So it was really great exposure, and it was really helpful for my professional development as well. And then I also felt in the CF evaluation, really great coordination with Sarvat, with DCO office, and then later with Simon Pierre. It really helped us to be on the same page and really meaningfully contribute to have a good quality CF evaluation. So yeah, I'm really proud to be a part of this team. It's really a great team, and it's joy to work with everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Yuna. Esther?
Yes, hi. So I'm also relatively new. I think I've been a member for 1.5 years. My predecessor in the region before had not participated much, but I joined Kurush, and I believe it was Sabrina reached out to me. There was a need for somebody to provide technical assistance along with Yumiko on the Afghanistan, I think it was Afghanistan framework evaluation. And so a lot of my experiences have been in that. So we worked very closely with Sawata, and it was one of those that was not easy. But I think as a group, it was difficult. Yeah, both of the ones I've participated in, even Nepal, has been difficult that I've worked on with Pooh. But I think it's the weight when you're looking at these framework evaluations that UNEDAP brings. I mean, I could advise as an evaluation expert coming from UNICEF for these framework evaluations, but when we say it's UNEDAP and this is what we think, that has brought weight. In both of them, Nepal also hasn't been easy, and also just having two people from different agencies, so it's not just UNICEF, but as I said, we are representing a group of experts. I think we've had a higher voice, and of course, Sawat has always been helpful. I think the other value is, typically for most of us, or for most of my other regional colleagues, you're talking to UNICEF and your UNICEF team, yeah? UNIDEP gives me an opportunity to talk to other counterparts, from different agencies to see, what else is happening. Unfortunately, for my region, we haven't been able to second so many people for training. I think that's a good opportunity, but just seeing other people and getting ideas from other agencies and having that routine interaction, I think it has been beneficial for me as a person. I believe it also has potential for joint evaluations. I know that's lacking across the system, and there's always this complaint. They are very bureaucratic, they are hard. And I believe that UNEDAP actually gives us that opportunity because, we know each other. So it gives us that opportunity to do those more. Rather than, because usually when you suggest to country offices, we are encouraging them to do joint UN evaluations. They're like, okay, those are political, those are complicated. But I think UNEDAP gives us that platform to say, okay, why don't you reach out to this person? So it's generally a good experience and a good opportunity. Over.
Thank you. So, I mean, obviously, so many things are working well. You get the win-win. You like working there. You have weight. You have credibility, efficiencies. How did this happen? I mean, you seems to be a genuinely nice group of people, but not. I know you and NSC not always working that way. I know you're always that nice, or especially when that makes you nice, or many organizations and a lot of regions want to do similar kinds, and when you went all and so many things happen with one UN initiative. So how UNEDAP could do those things? How did it happen? Sarah?
Sarah, let's go ahead.
No, Yumiko, please go first.
I just I don't have conclusion, but before COVID, the one UN buildings definitely helped us. We had lunch together, cafe together. That's definitely helped. We often met. Yeah, go ahead, Sarah. Maybe you have better theory.
No. I think no, but I think building on what Yumiko said, I think the reason it's worked, it's also working in comparison to other coordination structures is that UNEDAP was never imposed by anyone. It was genuinely a group of very highly skilled professionals that are possibly lonely also, who are coming together, have known each other for a long time, having lunch together and having really good intentions of, how to respond to all Secretary General's calls for better system-wide evaluations, because let's face it, as a system, historically, even now, we're not getting a gold star on the system-wide evaluation. So I think that's the reason, and I hope, and that's why I was a bit worried when we were pushing for UNEDAP to be part of the regional collaborative platform, that we wouldn't, suck that free spirit that we all have in UNEDAP. But touch wood, so far it hasn't. Over.
Edgar, please.
Yes, I fully support. I think the fact that we are co-located is a big plus. And this is something that is not seen in other regional commissions. I had a discussion with ORS 2 years ago. They wanted to set up a similar network. And one of the issues they have is they are, scattered all over the region. And they don't have that co-location kind of factor that would help bring them together. So that is something that we could emphasize. But I don't know now with COVID, with virtual working modality, maybe these kind of things may not be that important. The second point is that to me, one of the greatest motivation I have is a fulfilling work. It's a voluntary work, but you can see concrete outcome in terms of success of the training, very positive feedback from participants, good feedback from the management as well. And over the years, we have probably hundreds of staff from my organization who have participated in this training. So just imagine, the reach of this training in the organization, and you can already see, the culture, the evaluation culture being felt better and more now. A lot of it talks about evaluation Managers are very open to talk about these issues, and it's included in the agenda of the meetings. In fact, this morning we have a consultation with each and every division of our office, and one of the standing agenda is evaluation, where we discuss about the plan evaluations, the follow-up to the evaluations, what are the evaluation issues, what are the training coming up, and this is happening twice a year. And this has been going on for several years now. So you can see the kind of, it's step by step, but it's happening very in a positive sense.
Thank you. Coach?
Yes, thank you. I think Esther had her hand up. Is it an old hand or did you have it before me?
No, it's an old hand, Purush. I'll put it down.
Okay. So just quickly, one of the things I believe brings us together is that evaluation has an independent nature from the rest of the colleagues we're sitting in the same building with. So technically, we have to be at arm's length with regard to program implementers that are sitting in our own building, now be it the UNICEF, be it UNDP, ESCAP. But this, at the same time, then has been, I think, a driving force for us to come together because we all have that kind of an independent relationship with the rest of the organization. We can talk much more freely among ourselves over here because all of us are at arm's length with respect to implementation, versus if I have to talk to my nutrition colleague or to my health colleague, I have to be a little careful what I say and how I interact, not to cross that border. So one of the things that you're saying, what gelled and what brought you together might be this the nature of our work, that we have the same professional standards. All of us follow the same OECD DAC criteria. There's a certain elements that bring the independence of it, that bring us together, and that might have helped for us to have an incentive to support each other to go forward.
Wow. So
maybe one other thing on the what went well is on the, as colleagues said, on the training. I think that training is fantastic. And the fact that that training can be used to cascade to the rest of each of the organizations is an interesting point. So in our case, when we had our trainers who were our participants in the training who were multi-country evaluation specialists, when they finished, I asked them to do 5 one-hour webinars for all the country programs in IAPRO. And we also, in UNICEF IAPRO, and we also ended up inviting our counterparts. So the same training that was done over here was kind of simplified, but repeated for about 200 participants of UNICEF counterparts and UNICEF staff throughout the region, which really, I think, shows how we can cascade from what we're doing over here to the larger community in the region. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you. So again, UNEDAP working well, benefiting and cascading and fulfilling. At the same time, I suppose not always things are easy. There must be some barriers. There must be some challenges that you have to overcome. You must have win the supporters. What are the challenges that UNEDAP successfully managed, and what was the secret? Esther, you hand it up.
I was actually gonna say challenges for participation. So I don't know if I can say that, but I understand you're asking for challenges that has been solved. But for me, I'll give you perhaps challenges that have been solved. Of course, it's from the framework evaluation perspective. I think having a unique voice, a combined voice, and the people I have worked with on the very difficult ones, Yumiko and Pooh can say that, and also having Sawat, supporting us. Sometimes the Afghanistan one was very political, and that was even before the crisis. But I think, having UNEDAP come up and say, okay, this is what we need to do. There was a tendency to just limit. I think for all these ones, there's a tendency to limit these evaluation stuff, flimsy, tick the box kind of thing. But UNEDAP coming there and saying, okay, no, we have some guidelines. These are the guidelines of these framework evaluations. This is what we can help you with. Or, sometimes like for the Nepal one, they fielded a TOR that we had never looked at, and then coming back and saying, okay, you fielded a TOR that we never looked at, but these are the guidelines. How can we go back and actually resolve this, put some level of quality. So having those quality standards is helpful. From a personal level, the challenges of participation, it's a lot of work. If you have to do your day job, and for some of us, UNEDAP staff is not even in our JDs, so our regional directors care less if you're participating in UNEDAP. I wouldn't say that, but it's not there as a KPI for you, and so you have to balance it, and so I understand, why some people may not participate, and it can be challenging sometimes. So that would be my response. Over.
Thank you. And Yumiko?
Yes, so I had a couple of times the colleagues saying that the managers don't spend too much time on a partnership, rather focus on more internal evaluation. So we had many times. So what I suggested, why we discussed, probably it's good to combine with the evaluation strategies, so they're including partnership in the strategies, and then the work plan and the individual work plan. And also what Sarwat really helped, Sarwat could speak to the RCO or RC, then that's the talk to regional director, country directors, and they recognize the result. So the both sides, so the work plan and then also combining the NEC, National Evaluation Capacity, and then from upper, from the senior managers feedback, that really help to go on.
I think Oyuna, your hand is up.
Yeah, I don't have a response, but I have a question related to what colleagues said earlier in terms of strengthening national evaluation capacity being one of the pillars UNEDAP wanted to work from the beginning, and just wanted to see if there was any particular challenge to carry over that initial thinking in the later work of UNEDAP, if it's something that we can still pursue in the future, because we also heard in the past 2 years that I know of, how can we train IPs, for example, to strengthen their capacity. So I think, yeah, I'm just curious to hear from colleagues. Thank you.
Please.
Just on the point about overcome the challenges, including budget support. In my case, I kind of put it also in my beginning of cycle performance appraisal that, I need to work with UNEDAP, and now is recognized as, important group to support evaluation, and also capacity building is what we have to do anyway to the staff. So that's one, and overcome challenge. And then I prepared a budget accordingly for not a lot of budget that I prepare each year. I mean, that we contribute like probably maximum 5,000 a year, or not a year, but for the training, taking turn. Sometimes we honestly also said that, oh, this year I don't have, you pay, so we kind of do that over the past couple of years. I think it helped. And also when we meet in the past, we managed to, organize it in different places. And if we don't have, but the last face-to-face workshop, we had this UNICEF, free of charge in the meeting room that we organized when we didn't have a budget. So certain thing we focus on the issues rather than on we try to overcome, because we genuinely telling everyone, okay, this is what we have, and can you chip in if anyone voluntarily? That's yeah, it was based on more of a, as we know, we have our own work, but this is voluntary, but it's integrated into our plan as an organization as well. Okay, that was my point. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Now I see many hands up. So who? I think who was it? Sarawak was the first, and course, and Sabrina and Edgar, I think.
So I think it was Kurush, then me.
Crucian, okay.
Transparency
Go ahead,
principle applied.
I'll come in after you. Go ahead. Can you hear me? Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
Sarah.
Thank you, Kurush. So I mean, I think there are a number of challenges, but I don't think it's with UNIDAP. We definitely created one challenge for UNIDAP when we had Simon Pierre come in and really help to clean the house of evaluation at New York level, to streamline some of the quality assurance mechanisms, the TORs. And I think for me, it was very difficult to, being the messenger to impose that on a group that was working so well. And I think for me, the biggest challenge is how do I keep that momentum rather than being the most hated person, and then we completely lose, the whole way of working. So I think that was a bit of a challenge, but I think we eased our way by having Simon Pierre. I mean, for me, I think the moment where it all changed was when he did participate on the CF session in the training program. And I think he really resonated, the key findings, especially on, where it was going wrong, really spoke to what we have been, facing over the years, and probably even moving forward also. So it was nice that we didn't give up and we didn't push back at the same time, but I thought it was a very fine line, very, very fine line, because it could have gone completely pear-shaped if there was one single extra nudge from us in New York. So I think that was, again, we managed it quite well. And I think, kudos to all the members for having an open mind about, this new intervention from DCO. So I thought that was a key challenge that we overcame very well as a group. And then again, I mean, I would like to reiterate the innovation that, that we are applying in different countries, EDGAR in Iran, Stuart in EDGAR in Iran, for instance. The first reaction when you say it's your evaluation cycle, the first reaction that you have from country teams is that, we are excluded from an evaluation exercise because our context is very complex and, it's a very difficult environment and you don't understand. And that's why we're not interested in the traditional evaluation methodologies that we know you will propose to us. But I think that level of innovation and flexibility has been extremely, it has worked. And I'd also like to acknowledge, Yumiko's work and Sabrina's work also, initially when we first came in Laos and in Vietnam, very much in, I think, providing that foundation in a new context of CF evaluation on how we bring that forward. But also, most importantly, I think it's a key challenge for all members is how do you remove your agency hat? Because, in one country, your agencies are also doing evaluations. So I think, again, it's a fine line and a very diplomatic course of action that, you all take in terms of keeping that separate and giving very impartial, independent advice on the CF evaluation, including on the fact that you drum in and reinforce the need to harmonize the evaluations and you question your agencies as to why you are not sharing the results, why are you not, easing the processes rather than having parallel processes. Over.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I fully agree with Sarwat. And another example is the DPRK evaluation again, that was done totally different than traditional kind of evaluations because of the local situation. And what Sarwat was saying regarding HQ, and we understand the mandate that our colleagues at HQ have, but at the same time, we are closer to the context, so the country office context. And one of the challenges we have is to bring the two together, that understanding here is the country office context, we understand what the HQ requirement is, but there's a give and take over there. So being the broker, being an honest, independent broker to establish that give and take, I think is very important. And that means that we've got to rely on each other's strengths. So we have strengths in different, some of us are more technical, some of us are more political, some of us interact stronger. Using that, I think, has been a big point of success for us to do the difficult kind of evaluation in different contexts. And again, brainstorming and finding innovative approaches, fully agree with Sarwat, that has added a lot of value from UNEDAP to country offices to be able to implement these evaluations. And we've got to, as colleagues have said, for a number of us, this is not in our JDs, this is not in our key performance indicators. So putting the extra effort I've been really astonished on how colleagues have been able to put in the extra effort given those situations, given the interagency rivalries in some areas. We've been able to overcome that by being more cohesive, collaborative, and working better together. So that's how we overcome the challenges. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Edgar, your hand is up.
Okay, just to respond to Oyonna's point about building national capacity, which is one of the pillars of when UNEDAP wants to envision, right? We did some work on this in the past. I remember we had a case study on Malaysia evaluation, national evaluation capacity. And I think there was another one as well. And there were a couple of meetings with national evaluation associations. So it's quite limited, I think. And I don't know to what extent we can, take more activities, work than the flagship UNEDAP training. I think it's also, has to do with capacity. How much can we offer in this voluntary network? I know that, the training itself is time consuming, it's laborious, but can we still take more? Because to me, we can do probably extra more, but for some agencies or colleagues, it may not be possible. So there's a capacity issue there. And also the building national capacity is quite a broad area of work. And I think we haven't really found our niche. Where are we going to position UNEDAP in this area? Over to you.
Yumiko?
Just echoing to Edgar's. So national evaluation capacity, we didn't work with the government directly, but we did a lot of joint seminars in regional and national societies. That's also, I think, a lot of regional national societies knows us. So that's also made some progress.
Thank you. I'm just checking time, and it's almost 1 hour that I promised is up, but I want you to ask, if you don't mind, anyone have to leave at 3 sharp? I mean 2 o'clock at your time. Okay, can I extend like 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Good. So I want you to answer either one of 2 questions, everyone, for some to give lessons for anyone who might be interested in interagency. One is, what's the secret? What do you suggest to others who want to formulate this type of interagency collaboration network team? The other one is, it's been here for many years, but you never know when it will end. You need to keep sustaining it, keep maintaining it. So what is your suggestion to yourself, actually, and to the others, how to maintain this type of interagency collaboration group? So advice to someone who wants to start this type of thing, or someone who has this type but want to maintain, sustain, and grow?
Can I go first?
Yes.
Because I've got to leave quickly. To start first, I think informal meetings, informal lunches, talking to each other outside of context, I think is very important. That's one of the things that has brought me and a couple of colleagues got together, that we said, let's have lunch at least like once a month or once every other month together. I think that's been important. The other point is we've got to talk to our supervisors to make it more sustainable. Make sure it goes into the JD of the post and goes into our KPIs when we're discussing it, because it takes considerable amount of time, and now it is recognized that this is a good practice and success. So I think that's also a good way to start the initiative and to continue it on the continuation. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Koresh. I'm going to take notes and I will make sure that goes to the report. Next. Uina, or who was first, please? Uina was first.
I'm not sure, but I can quickly come in. I think other colleagues also mentioned identifying that common goal that every agency needs to work on and agree on that, and try it in a collaborative way and see the benefits of it. I think that would be, my pitch. And also, as other colleagues said, having it in your performance plans and agreed with supervisor, it's important. Yeah, thank you.
Sabrina?
Thank you. So I think part of the questions I've seen from other interagency groups is around sort of formalizing the group. And I actually feel that that's kind of been maybe one of the ways that has made UNEDAP work, is that it's actually been quite informal. I mean, we do have a TOR, but I don't think it's been updated since 2007. I think we have a brochure, but that hasn't been updated in many years as well. And so, I mean, I think, of course, those things are important to kind of communicate who UNEDAP is and what are our key objectives. But I also think sometimes, these type of working groups can get bogged down on the sort of details of co-chairship and how many years and how are we going to turn over, all of the sort of boring stuff, frankly speaking, that can actually detract from the main objective of the group, which is really to network and share information, etc. So I would say don't get bogged down on all of the nitty-gritty details, and have more sort of an informal networking is okay. And maybe over time you could formalize it more. Second tip is to find a sarwat. Yeah, I think having the DCO engaged, I mean, really seriously, I think the UN, reform really has helped with the regionalization and regional platforms. And I think that is really key in terms of moving forward, especially of having that strong engagement with the DCO at regional level. And now, of course, we're connecting with the HQ, but that's also key. And then I think, as we have discussed, is just kind of taking off your agency hat, of course, we're all going to, I'm always going to talk about gender equality. That's, what we stand for. But I think it's also that we, bring our collective technical expertise, and we're not all just pushing some, different, our own agendas within the space of UNEDAP. We're all, seeing the added benefit of coming together as a group of technical, experts in this area. So those are my 3 tips.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Sabrina. Edgar, I think you were the next.
Okay, from my side, I think the advice for me is, just go ahead. You can't go wrong. I mean, it's proven useful. And with this kind of network, there's a lot of benefits for people who are involved in the networks. And in terms of sustaining, I agree with Kurus. We need to somehow embed it in our work plan, but at the same time, we need to communicate as well in terms of the successes, the achievements of UNEDAP to our senior management. Yeah, at least for me, I'm able to, report directly to my supervisor, so I get a full backing, full support from him. But I don't know how it is in other organizations, but I think as a UNEDA, even this video, hopefully you can also use this one in terms of promoting UNEDA to our senior management. And then there will be a buy-in later on for the future. That's from my side.
Thank you, Eka. And Esther, I think you're the next.
Yeah.
Then Angelina.
Yeah, so I think for me, having specific activities, while it's informal, you don't feel that you're meeting for the sake of meeting. You're working on something. And something that as individuals and as a group we perceive is of value. While it's a lot of work for me, I mean, I've mainly worked with UNIDAP on the framework evaluations. While it's a lot of work, you feel you're adding value, and it's a specific, there are specific asks, even for the training. Sometimes you're a part of this and, you're meeting every week and you're like, okay, how much networking are we going to do without having an end result? So that has helped. And I think is useful just for personal satisfaction and continued engagement in something that's always above and beyond our day-to-day jobs. Over.
Thank you. And next is Jelly. No. Oh. So you just I confused with the
Okay.
camera is on and off.
Okay. Yeah, for me, I think colleagues have already mentioned what I was going to say, but I think number one thing is commitment of members. Yeah, because people, if members are not committed to the cause, it's unlikely that it will continue. And of course, that is tied to something of common value, particularly based on what each member's mandate is and job description at their work. If you pick on something that is related to what you do on a day-to-day basis, it becomes quite natural to network on the same with other colleagues. So it doesn't always appear like it's something extra you're doing, but it's sort of like continuity of what you're doing. But of course, then working together with other colleagues to share lessons, to grow yourselves professionally, but at the same time, something that will enable you to improve what you do at your organizational level. So that, in a way, sustains the commitment. And these are lessons I'm already just picking from my interaction and my membership in UNEDA. And also having everyone play a part in the activities, in the joint activities that you do, makes people feel like they're contributing and they feel responsible and feeling that they own this product and this network and this forum. That in itself keeps the commitment going and makes the group to grow. And of course, I also agree with I think if it's crucial, Edgar's point about keeping the senior management updated and also linking it to an organization priority, them saying that your membership and your engagement with UNEDA adds value to the organization's work. That has helped me a lot. I had initially a challenge convincing. Of course, I had the advantage of having engagement in this forum on my job description, but I think perhaps my organization didn't quite, of course, know like how that is supposed to work. But I've had an opportunity to demonstrate to them how actually my engagement and that part of my job description actually adds value to the organization by, of course, going back, identifying within my work what value this would add, and then using that to demonstrate how that works. And that in itself, if like all agencies and all members planning to come up with such a forum can do, that in itself will sustain the group. Thank you, and over.
Thank you. I think almost everyone said the last word. Am I missing Stuart? Oh my God, Stuart, here comes. Yes, Stuart.
Yeah, thanks for it. I think that it helps that the professional cadre in evaluation is reasonably stable. So people in their positions for, 5 years or that type of length of time. It also then gives them time to also, bring in other colleagues. I mean, I can just quote the example of Yumiko and myself. So now Yumiko is leaving, but I've been in the system for 2 years, and then I'll also be able to explain the benefits of the UNEDAP to the incoming regional evaluation officer for WFP. I'm very confident that that person will then say, yes, this is something that we need to do. And I don't know if there are other examples of that, or whether there are any examples at all of agencies falling out of UNEDAP because an officer left. But what I think is interesting is that continuity, because in a lot of these forums, it's a bit patchy. You might get 4 or 5 agencies participating, but not 10 or more like we have here. So that's what I find very interesting. And that's what really makes a difference to the sustainability, when you've got as many as 10 agencies participating fully. Yeah, thank you.
Right. Who else? Any final word? Keep it informal. Oh.
Yeah, no, I'm because everyone has said everything, so I'm trying to come up with something clever, but I'm unable to because everything has been covered.
Yeah, I'm taking my notes, and indeed there's so many good things. The essence of the organizational development, change management, sustainability, and all the trust buildings, and lots of good things are being already mentioned. So if it's okay, I will close this now, and I will listen again. I will try to edit it and as short as probably 3 minutes. Actually, it's good. I'm gonna do a hard work of slashing everyone's voices. But at the same time, I will create the infographics, and I probably reach out to you for further clarification materials. And if you have, I saw some pictures, but if you have other nice pictures about the previous trainings or lunch, I mean, that would be really nice to have those social events. It seems to be very crucial. Or some your KPI or your strategy snapshots that can slightly slide it into the video. Well, other than that, thank you very much, everybody, for your time. And I'm sorry I'm gonna miss the party. But hope you have good time there, and we'll be in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Coming to
Bye.
American.
Yes,
Bye.
okay. Good initiative.
Bye.